Alright, so for this project today, what we're going to be doing is setting up 5 different ideas for a sleep tracker. So my materials, I'm going to use one of the new desk pads that came from the June subscription box. If you don't have these colors already, you could use a blackout, or you could even just use the standard white notebooks as well. But I'm going to be using some of these colors today. I also have a ruler. This is also something that came out of the subscription box, which was super exciting. So I'm just going to use it since I have it, but you can use any type of ruler. You don't need this one specifically. I'm also going to use some of the new colors from that subscription box. We're going to go with these first 4 colors here for some of the colors. I've been excited to see what they look like on the different color paper as a whole. I also have a white acrylic graph as well for some detail. And if you already don't have acrylic graph pens at home, totally cool. A white gel pen is going to work out really well, especially on the dark paper. But if you don't have dark paper and you're doing this on white, that's totally okay. You can use any fine liner to do all the same things that we're going to be doing today. And I'm also going to be using this overall because I do like dark lines, and one of the papers that I have is going to be on white as well. So we'll go ahead and use that. The first tracker that we're going to set up is going to be a monthly sleep log. So inside of your bullet journal, this is a page that you would set up for one entire month. You don't have to do a week by week in this case. So the way that I set this up is I counted from the bottom up 31 spaces. If you have a month that has 30 or 29 or 28, depending on the year, you just count that number from the bottom, and that way you can always ensure you have the right numbers that you need. Across the top here, what I've done, and you'll see as I start to fill this in a little bit more, but you can see in the pencil that I have started to add in some numbers here. This will go from 1 all the way to about 10 or 12 here at the top, and this here will be the number of hours that you slept during that evening, and then your dates will go down along the left-hand side. I'll also do some quick lettering here at the top to set up the overall title for that page as well, and add in some cool doodles. Now that everything is dry in here, I'll show you how you could use this tracker for yourself. So there's 2 different ways that you can work with these trackers if you wanted to. The first way is you could go ahead and draw out a bar and put in some patterns on there if you wanted to. Show you an example over here. So drawing out a horizontal rectangle across the amount of time, and you could fill it in with a pattern or some lines. But what I'm going to do for this one is we're going to pretend that we've made it through part of the month here. And as I'm going through every date, I'm putting how long that I slept throughout that evening. So we'll say on the 1st that I slept for 8 hours. So I'm going to put a white dot underneath the 8. We'll say on the 2nd that I slept for 9 hours. Say I didn't get as much sleep on Wednesday. And as you go through every single day that you have on the left, you're filling in and tracking your sleep pattern. One of my favorite things to do, especially with a dot graph, is to connect those dots together with a line. This way you get a visual representation of your time, how much you're getting versus how little you're getting, and then at the end of the month, it can look really cool as you have your line graph going all the way down your page. For this next one here, we're going to set it up in a very similar way, where we're going to have our dates on the left-hand side, but instead across the top, what we're going to do is we're going to put the time we went to bed and the time that we woke up. So it's a little bit of a different type of graph than the one that we did before, but it still shows you your spans of time that you're sleeping throughout the evening. So let's go ahead and fill in the rest of this page. We're going to be using a mix of items again. We'll be using the white gel pen. We'll also be using one of the other colors from the acrylic graph set and one of the white acrylic graphs as well. Now we're going to take one of the other new colors here from the June subscription box. It's going to be this color right here. And we're going to go ahead and do some real quick cursive lettering for monthly and then sleep tracker. And then I'll come back in. I drew a little sheep over here and we'll fill it in with the white acrylic graph. Now that we've got everything filled in and everything has started to dry now, what I'm going to do is show you how you can utilize this one. There's a few different ways. If you wanted to, you could do the same type of bar graph that you've done here, but something that I like to do for these is actually similar to what we did on our other side with the dots and the lines. However, I like to jot down what time I went to bed, and then we'll put a dot next to what time I woke up that day. So let's say on the first that I went to bed around 11 o'clock, and I woke up at 7 o'clock. This color here is from one of the new pads from the June subscription box here. So I just tore off a piece here at the top, and here's what we're gonna go ahead and work on. I'm a big fan of weekly spreads. So this is actually something that I've done pretty often. The way that we're gonna set up this page here is we're gonna leave space for our week here at the top. We're going to leave space down here in the bottom for our notes. And then over here, we're going to do a weekly tracking for our sleep patterns here. We have Monday through Friday on the left-hand side with the number of hours across the top. I'll go ahead and fill all of this in. I'm going to use my multi-liner to fill in this page, and I'll come back in with some detail using some of those new acrylograph colors. Now that we have all of our lines in here for this top section and our dividers, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, and we'll leave a space for notes, I'll go ahead and fill in the left-hand side over here with the same marker. Right, so now we can take a look. We have Monday through Friday here at the top. We've got a space for notes down here at the bottom. And then we have our sleep tracker over here on the left-hand side. Similar to the one we saw before, there's a few different ways that you could fill out this tracker. For this one though, I am going to use the bar graph since we use the circle graph so much on the other one. Starting from 0 to whatever amount of time that you got to sleep that day, you would just draw out your straight bar graphs horizontally across the page. You could choose to fill this in with white. You could put a pattern if you wanted to, or colored in all the way. For this one, I'm just going to do some diagonal lines across the bars. Okay, and here you go. Here's one example of how you can track your sleep throughout an entire week. Let's go ahead and take a look at one more way to do it, but instead of doing it on an overall weekly basis, we're going to do it on a daily basis. All right, I'm just going to go ahead and flip this over to the other side just so we keep using this beautiful paper. So the way that I'm going to set this page up here is going to be each day of the week, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, and then I'm actually going to split this one in half to be a Saturday and a Sunday. So every day that you're waking up, the first thing that you're going to want to do is somehow track how many hours you slept. Now, I like to always shoot for averages here because there are only 8 spaces that are available. Usually, the most amount of sleep that I'm going to ever get is around 8 hours or so. But for the sake of this, let's say that maybe I get to sleep in one day. We'll go ahead and start here at the end with 10 and then work backwards. I do this just because it's rare that I'm getting less than 3 hours of sleep, rare that I'm getting more than 10, but it blocks it off pretty nice inside of here. All right, now that our entire page is filled out, you can easily go through and highlight or add color to each one of these, or something that's a really simple way to do this would be similar to what we did before with a dot above the amount of time that we got to sleep that day. So let's say I went all the way and got to sleep 8 hours this day. I'll go ahead and just put a dot right above there. If you wanted to, you could also color in the space that you had there. Or if you wanted to, you could draw a line through the point till you got to as well. The last one that we're going to work on is actually going to be a sleep log. This does not combine a weekly spread or a daily spread along with it. Instead, this is its own collection page. The sleep log is broken up into two different spaces, really. On the left-hand side, we have each of the days of the week here. And then over here is going to be like the information space. So across the top of each one of these spaces is going to be what time you went to bed and what time you woke up. And then we're going to leave some space in between here, between each day, for you to jot down a note. It could be the dream that you had, or how you felt, or any other type of information that you think will be important to add in there. And then we've got that all filled in here. So we've got our title here for the daily sleep log, Monday through Sunday over here on the left. Over here on the right hand side, we have space for our bedtime that we're going to bed, and then what time we woke up, and then space down here for notes, a dream log, or anything related to sleep otherwise. So these are just a few of the ideas that we saw today. If you have any other questions, feel free to leave a comment in the descriptions below, and also be sure to check out the freebie that came along with this as well, to get your own A5 insert for a monthly sleep tracker.